Hey everybody, Al here, and I'm going to show you what it takes to take a 35mm film and turn it into a YouTube video. So stick around.
I'm not going to do that. That's how you would do it though. You can look at this picture and get it exactly straightened that way. So what we're going to do is, since we don't need it, we're going to get rid of it. All you got to do is hit delete on it, and away it goes. So now we're not using that tool, which is great. This has still got to have some other things done to it. We're going to have to resize it because right now it's going to generate files that are way too big. So we're going to tell it to keep the frame aspect, making it nice and long. And then the last step here is to, I may actually crop it a little further wider. Yeah, I want to have a little bit of picture in it. And hit resize and keep frame aspect. And we're going to bring this down so that the top number is around 1,000. It doesn't have to be right on, it has to be just somewhere around 1,000. 985 is fine. Okay. Then we go to brightness controls. And this is a little trick because the software that generates the sound takes the soundtrack over here and turns it back into sound. This is a little trick it needs to make it work right. I don't know why, but it doesn't work if it's really bright. So you want to try to get your contrast up. And I use the gain and lift controls usually. I don't usually use much else to get that down. You want to have a little bit of picture left so they can use that too. We'll explain that when we get to that point. But yeah. Good to have a frame that has the lines here. We'll need those frame lines when we get into the sound portion of our fun. Okay, we are at the point where all we have to do is tell it where to save this to. We're going to browse off into our scans, go into the Panther one, and we'll create a new folder called audio. Now this is going to generate 2,500 JPEG files. Now they'll be much smaller than our picture files are. Now hit save. And we got to save with all zeros is the name. That knows it's going to start at 000 and count upwards from there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to turn off our access to our picture file, and now we're going to use the Fusion to render all the savers out, which is to basically generate the soundtrack video file. Another one's going to take a while, so we'll come back when we get through all of this. We're coming to the end of our soundtracks rendering. This is actually putting the frames out, just the soundtrack frames, so we have them. And now we're going to process those. Say OK. So we're going to minimize this out, and we're going to load up this program called VirtualDub. This is going to open up those files that we created in the audio folder. And we just tell it to open the first one. It knows to open the rest of them from here. And we click on Save as AVI. And this will create an AVI file for us. And I'll put it in the same place as the other ones are. And I'm going to call it audio.avi. Hit save. And we wait for this to get new. If you turn off these two buttons, the input and the output, it goes faster. Okay, come up on the end of this. And we all have to do from here is close this out. We're done with that. Now we're going to load up the AEO Lite program. And if you want to have some fun, go back and find out what AEO Lite really means. It goes back to the early form of sound film. Okay, so we'll create a new project after we set the, let me hit this, show this better. I set the value to 24 frames per second, and I'm going to hit a new project. I'm going to go into the Pink Panther folder, go back to the audio folder, tell it to change this to video files, find our video file. Do you want to buffer the incoming video? Yes, we do. Okay. This is our blown up version of our video. And when we get a little further into it, we're going to scroll it over here, take a look at stuff. You'll see that we have a picture area on the right side over here, how we cropped it off. So we'll start by turning on this picture strip option. I do this mostly to get rid of these two yellow lines, but it actually does help when it's trying to figure out what the brightness of the level of the film of the thing is, soundtrack is. Then we're going to switch this to stereo, and by doing that, we're going to get a line, and we're going to bring that over with this top control. The one right below it brings it over here, and now we're trying to find our way to the middle of the soundtrack. And scrolling through it will tell you if there's any really large passages. They'll almost touch each other sometimes. This one's pretty good. It's hitting right on the middle of that. So we got all of our sound here. Now we're going to, since we have good steady lines between these two, we can use as a guide for the pitch. So this is important because this will sound really bad if you do it wrong. And you just find the beginning and the end. And then when you find the right end, you see the pink line kind of finds its way and stays in there. So I just try to put the whiter line around it, about the middle of it. Okay, so there's one other step to follow before we actually render this off. We're going to choose the calibrate option here. Calibrate is going to go through and see the soundtrack, see what we got, try to figure out like the best settings for the brightness and contrast to give it the best sound quality. So we let that do its thing. Now that that's done, we're going to now extract the actual audio out. So, and there's ways of testing it. We can do that too. Just for fun, let's just hit the set in here and do a new sample. It'll automatically render off that's just a small section.
Has been committed, and only one man can.
So there you go. We have our sound. Okay, so let's go to extract audio. Sounded good. And make sure we set our in point to the beginning and leave it there. So it should say frame in 0 whenever the highest frame number is out. And all we have to do is hit extract. It asks us for a place to put the file. So we're going to put it in the same place and call it audio.wave. And all we hit do is hit OK. It's going to go through and generate our audio for us. You should see it come up here. There we go. There's our audio. And if you look down at the bottom down here, there's this yellow line. And the more pure the yellow line is, the more yellow it is. In this area where it's scanning, the better your soundtrack is going to be. And that looks pretty good. Okay, and now we're done. So there we go. Just click on OK, and we can actually close this all out now. Pop back into our editor, and we're going to disconnect the soundtrack thing we created and just reconnect the picture. Now the importance of that is that if you have both of these running at the same time, it'll actually each will slow each other down, and they don't need to be on there anymore because now we have a soundtrack that's in a separate place. We've actually created our soundtrack. We're going to go back to our media section here, and we're going to open up our audio wave and drag it down here. Now we're going to go into our timeline on the edit page, as they call it. And we're going to zoom this guy way up because we want to see all the frames. So now we're actually looking at each individual frame. And the cool thing is since I'm using 24 frames per second, they put a line right here for 24. Now the interesting part is that the soundtrack is exactly 21 frames ahead of the picture. So this is 24, 23, 22, 21. Take the audio file we just created, because it's been made on the same file size as well, and drop it on that line. Now we should have a synchronized soundtrack to our picture. So how we do that? We just hit this play button. See what happens.
Somewhere in this arena, in front of 60,000 screaming fans.
That's not really helping us with the picture quality. We want to see our synchronization or our sound, so let's check it.
Officer Jacques Cluzeux, gendarme, third class.
That had to help.
He's got a partner.
Without warning, I will attack you. In this way, I will keep you vigilant and alert.
Good one. Thank you.
So there you go. We know I got our sound right. Right? Looks pretty good. Now, we could just stop right here. It looks pretty good. We could go out and just save this out as an existing file, but I like to tweak color sometimes. So we're going to go to the color page here and show the process for tweaking color. I have a tendency to set mine up with these color bars. I like to use the color bars here. And we're going to use this section over here. And we want to go to a scene that's got good color, good tones. Looking at these bars over here, I can see there's a tad bit more red in it than probably should be. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new color node, add a serial node. And this is where we're going to do our editing on our color. And the reason we do it this way is we're not going to mess with the original. We can always turn this off and on. So let's make some changes. Let's go through and just do some light changes. So we're looking at our color bars, and we're trying to make them look similar to each other. Now that actually did a nice job of just bringing down the reds a little bit. I like to look at the whole overall color scope, and it's actually pretty good. Film does change color over time, according to how well it was stored, and also a lot of times how much it's been used too. But in this case, still got that shows a little bit more red, but sometimes you just need to leave it like it is. I don't want to get too much of it off. I want to still have retain some natural color to it. Again, subtlety is the whole key to this. I like it. And if you want to see what the difference was without color correction, click on this and click on that. I think it's better. Obviously better than it was before. So there you go. Yeah. Nice differences. Yeah. Let's see what adding a little green to it does. No, I think that's too much. I have a tendency to want to go blue more than I want to go green anyway. If I want to have a color that's predominant, I'll usually try to make it blue. Yeah. Okay, I'll leave it like that. I think that looks good. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so now we're on to the last phase of this, which is to render this out. And that's the process for turning it into a single video, like what we're going to put up on YouTube. Okay, so you go to this last tab, which is the Rocket tab, which is actually the render deliver tab, they call it. And I usually go to the YouTube and do a couple of different versions of it. I do it usually. I upload this 2160. So I'll just do Pink Panther. -YT. That's my coding for being a YouTube one. And I'm going to browse where I put them at. Now we store video files. Save. And then I found it's good to just copy this off and make sure you hit add to render queue. Now I'm going to change this to 1080. Add a 10 to the end of it to know I know what kind it is. Hit add. Create a 265 master. Get another file. And because I'm just strange this way, a 264. 264. And I'm going to do that as an MPEG. Change it from QuickTime to MPEG. MP4. Okay, now I've created 4 different types of renders out, and I'm going to say render all. And that will go through and create our videos for us. So these are all the steps you have to get a working video from being a piece of film into a video you can watch on the internet, on the TV, or whatever you want to watch it. And this is just for a small couple of minute trailer. I've done some feature films. It's quite a bit of work. Same process, just takes longer in between steps, I guess. Best way to put it. And then matching up all the reels and stuff like that, because they come on multiple reels of film. Okay, so I'll just save the project real quick. Minimize them out. And find our way into the video files folder. And take a look at our video. Let's watch the YouTube one that's going to go out with the 4K.
Somewhere in this arena, in front of 60,000 screaming fans, the crime of the century has been committed, and only one man can solve it.
Officer Jacques Cluzeux, gendarme, third class. Ah!
That had to help.
He's got a partner.
Without warning, I will attack you. In this way, I will keep you vigilant and alert.
Good one.
So there you go. It came out great. So that's the process of getting from a 35mm piece of film over to a edited video. Thanks for watching.